Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 86 based on novel. So let's start. This secret method of chaotic whole eternal light is suitable for me to hide my identity. Luo Feng also thought that some powerful beings in the origin continent would hide their identities when doing things that could easily offend powerful forces. The immortal light of the chaotic whole, to the outside world, is a ray of sword light that can break anything. During a fight, Luo Feng would not release the sword light for the opponent to study slowly. The sword light was condensed to the extreme, and it was impossible for the opponent to penetrate and spy on it. Just a momentary perception. Those with less knowledge might even speculate whether it was the method of the Great Tao of material origin, or the method of the Great Tao of infinite origin. These two great ways can also achieve the artistic conception of being indestructible and endless. Those with a high realm may be able to experience some of the charm of the Great Tao of destruction origin. But in the origin continent, there are too many god kings who practice the Great Tao of destruction origin. This is a big school. The relaxation is over, let's concentrate on the form of the world in the 10 directions. Luo Feng continued to comprehend the form of the world in the 10 directions. The two paths of life and destruction are ultimately the foundation of the great way of birth and death. The more solid the foundation, the stronger the integrated great way of life and death will be. The border of the ancient country of Yangfeng, Xiangjie City. A man in white walked to the front of the garrison. He had a holy face and it was difficult to tell whether he was a man or a woman. He stood in front of the gate of the garrison, but the guards of the garrison could not see him at all. Great Sage Luo He. The man in white spoke, and his voice had already reached Luo Feng's ears through cause and effect. It turned out to be the God King Polu. Luo Feng had already noticed when he entered the city, but if he didn't come to visit, Luo Feng would just pretend he didn't see him. After all, there were countless people entering and leaving the city every day. When the other party came to visit, Luo Feng naturally went to the mansion gate to receive him in person. The gate guard then saw a holy man in white standing there, and he couldn't help but be obsessed with him. God King Polu, please. Luo Feng said. The God King Polu smiled slightly and followed him in. In the welcoming pavilion, the two sides sat opposite each other. Facing the Polu God King, Luo Feng did not feel any pressure. The Polu God King was Di Qing's direct disciple and was at the invincible level of the first level of the God King realm. Emperor Qing, as the most transcendent existence among the 13 emperors of the ancient country of Yangfeng, has a total of 15 disciples, including 6 God Kings, 8 Chaos Realm Transcendents, and 1 Chaos Realm Peak. These 6 God Kings are all extraordinary. 1 is at the second level of God King, 2 God Kings are invincible at the first level, and 3 God Kings are at the limit of the first level. This shows Di Qing's ability to train disciples. None of those who can become God King are ordinary. The God King Polu is one of the 6 God Kings. He also turned to cultivate the Hunyuan bloodline to reach the invincible strength of the first level of the God King. Luo Feng asked himself that if he tried his best now, he would have the limit strength of the first level of the Divine King. As a Hunsi realm, he had such strength. Luo Feng naturally had no pressure facing the Polu Divine King. Great Sage Luo He, you and I are both disciples of the Emperor, and we are both guests of the ancient Flamewind country. Our situations are very similar. The Divine King Polu said with a smile, we guests should also keep in touch with each other and help each other, so that we can go on the path of cultivation more smoothly. That makes sense. Luo Feng agreed. The God King Yunu is famous for his sociability. Among Di Qing's disciples, he has the best communication skills and has friends all over the origin continent. What makes the outside world admire him the most is that he has a very good relationship with many God Kings of the Wanjie Kingdom, and even successfully became a disciple of the Lord of the Wanjie Kingdom. Di Qing, as his master, actually allowed him to do this. A divine king who is a disciple of Emperor Qing and the Lord of 10,000 realms at the same time. There is only one such person in the entire origin continent. Of course, the relationship between the Lord of 10,000 Worlds and the ancient kingdom of Yangfeng is also very good, and many of his disciples are serving as guests in the ancient kingdom of Yangfeng. I have established a mutual aid organization called Jianxin League. There are no rules. It is just to make it easier for everyone to contact each other, said the God King Polu. Our mutual aid organization mainly invites God Kings of the first level. So far, there are hundreds of members, and 3 of the early members have broken through to the God King of the second level. Our organization's members include 2 ancient countries, 3 first-class forces and members from many countries. King Polu said with a smile. I've heard of the Tianxin League a long time ago. Luo Feng said. My master, Zhuoshanka, was once a member of the Tianxin League when he was still the divine king of Jin. This is a platform for the gods to connect with each other without any constraints. Because of the establishment of this platform, the God King Polu has good relations with many forces. As a disciple of Emperor Qing and the Lord of the 10,000 Realms, he is also a hegemonic existence, so his influence in the origin continent is naturally great. Great Sage Luohe, would you like to join? Asked the God King Polu. Of course. Luo Feng nodded. If you join the Samsara building, you can also join other forces. Even the Heavenly Heart Alliance is not considered a force, it just makes it easier for the God Kings to contact each other. The God King Polu smiled, ha ha, Great Sage Luohe is really straightforward. If you have any troubles in the future, or need any help, just ask. Although my abilities are limited, I have friends all over the origin continent and I can solve many problems. Sure. Luo Feng nodded. The God King Polu has a good reputation because he is willing to help the God Kings from all sides. This is the Heavenly Heart Talisman. After Luohe Great Sage joins, I believe there will be many God Kings who will contact Luohe Great Sage. God King Polu handed a talisman to Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at the wooden token and smiled. Then I won't stay any longer. The God King Polu stood up. Luo Feng personally saw him off. As they walked in the garrison, they met some servants, all of whom were extremely respectful. Master. Suddenly I met Mo Yu Qingyang and his wife. This is the God King Polu. Luo Feng said. Mo Yu Qingyan and Zhong Yanzhi were both shocked. They were not ordinary eternal true gods. They were well informed and knew the reputation of the God King Polu. Greetings to the God King Polu. Mo Yu Qingyan and Zhong Yanzhi said respectfully. Is this your only disciple, Mo Yu Qingyang, Great Sage Luohe? The God King Polu smiled as he looked at Mo Yu Qingyang and then saw Zhong Yanzhi standing beside him. Luo Feng said from the side, this is little disciple Qing, and next to him is his wife Yun Ji. Yun Ji, said the God King Polu, I should have seen you before. Yes. Zhong Yanzhi was a little excited. The Divine King is kind and has preached publicly in Polu City many times, guiding us weak practitioners. I have also been there 3 times to listen to the Divine King's preaching in person. Luo Feng listened on the side. The God King Polu is happy to help other God Kings, and is also happy to help the weak, and often preaches publicly. Although he was talking about how to comprehend the law of chaos, the explanation of a hegemonic being was still extremely valuable. Every time he gave a sermon, many eternal true gods would rush to Polu. The city listened to the sermon of the God King Polu. Ha ha ha. The God King Polu laughed. Practicing is not easy, I am just giving you some pointers. Then, without saying anything more, the God King Polu, accompanied by Luo Feng, left the garrison and left Xiangjie city. The Polu God King is extremely powerful, but also extremely kind. Zhong Yanzhi returned to the cave, still very excited. Before, when I listened to his teachings, I just watched and listened from afar. This time, he spoke to me so kindly. Very kind. Mo Yu Qingyang agreed. After all, it is a rare opportunity for a powerful God King to have a few words with 2 eternal true gods. After some time, it will be time for the God King Polu to give another public sermon. Zhong Yanzhi looked at Mo Yu Qingyang. Then let's go together. Let's listen to the God King's sermon together. Let's go together? Mo Yu Qingyang thought for a moment. It will be quick, just a few days. Zhong Yanzhi urged. Okay, I'll just take my turn early. Mo Yu Qingyang said with a smile. City affairs are originally a rotation. Practitioners also need time for their own practice. Polu City. On the day when the god King Polu was preaching, all the eternal true gods who came from all directions gathered in the square. Fully 1 million of the eternal true gods looked up with fiery eyes. When the god King Polu appeared, they were all extremely excited. Over 1 million eternal true gods have come here, but this is considered a small number. The main reason is that the journey is too long and it is dangerous for the eternal true gods to travel in a hurry. The preaching of God King Polu is indeed extraordinary. Mo Yu Qingyang also praised after listening. He admitted it. The Lord of Polu explained in more detail than the second master. Of course, the Lord of Polu only taught for 1 day. However, Morosa's instruction lasted for a long time, and he could teach students in accordance with their aptitude and give detailed instructions according to Mo Yu Qingyang's problems. I feel like I have made some progress in my understanding. Zhong Yunj was also very excited. If I can have a Master Divine King to guide me frequently, maybe I can also hope to reach the Chaos Realm. The practitioners in the square were dispersing. Mo Yu Qingyang, Zhong Yunji, the God King invites you. One of the servants of the God King Polu came to invite you. Invite us? Mo Yu Qingyang and Zhong Yunj were both flattered, and immediately took the initiative to follow him into the only high mountain in the city, Polu Mountain. One of the secluded places in Mount Polu. Mo Yu Qingyang and Zhong Yunj saw Yu Ran sitting. The Lord Vairocana is there. Greetings, God King. The two of them hurriedly bowed. Mo Yu Qingyang, is your master okay? God King Polu said. My master is doing well and is still practicing wholeheartedly as always. Mo Yu Qingyang said. Luo He Great Saint has a pure mind, and his future is brighter than mine. The God King Polu praised, and then looked at the two of them. You are sincere enough to come from the border to listen to my teachings. Show me some of your tricks. Yes. Mo Yu Qingyang and Zhong Yunj performed their moves one after another. The God King Polu gave instructions one by one, and the two juniors listened carefully and felt that they gained a lot. Both of you have average talent. Only if you work harder and focus more can you hope to reach the Chaos Realm, said the God King Polu. Understood. Mo Yu Qingyang and his wife were listening. Mo Yu Qingyang has Luo He Great Sage as his master, so there is no need for me to interfere. Zhong Yunj, if you are willing, you can be my disciple, said the God King Polu. He has many disciples, and so far he has taught more than 300 disciples. Zhong Yunj was overjoyed when he heard this. She couldn't even see the God King ancestor in the clan. In Xiangjie City, Luo Feng even gave his personal disciple Mo Yuqing some pointers at most, usually leaving it to Mo Luosa to give pointers. Not to mention Zhong Yunj. Disciple greets master. Zhong Yunj immediately knelt down to pay homage to her master, the God King. How could she miss it? Mo Yu Qingyang standing by was also happy for his wife. By becoming the Divine King's disciple, his wife's path of cultivation would have hope. Yes. The God King Polu smiled and nodded. As my disciple, a place for you to live will be arranged on the mountain. You and your wife can live there, and you can also come back to Xiangjie City at any time. The God King Polu said, and then his attendants took Mo Yu Qingyang and the others away for the time being. Lord Yunu watched this scene. Master, Zhong Yun's talent is average, and there is no hope for her to reach the Chaos Realm. Why do you want to accept her as your disciple? The old servant in the Chaos Realm beside him was puzzled. Nothing is absolute. If you focus on practicing, maybe there will be a miracle. The God King Polu said, and because of her, I accepted her as my disciple, and that's why I have some cause and effect with the great Saint Luo He. Great Sage Luo He, said the old servant in the Chaos Realm, he is only a Chaos Realm transcendent after all. He is a Chaos Realm transcendent who can rival the extremely powerful first level of the Divine King with his own secret method, said the Divine King Polu. Once he becomes a Divine King, he can quickly achieve invincible first level of the Divine King. In the entire origin continent, There are only about 5 people who can achieve invincible first level of the Divine King without external help, and Luo he will soon be one of them. The God King Polu looked at the old servant who had followed him for so many years and said, "This Luo he will be much stronger than me in the future. The path of cultivation is difficult and full of endless risks. Even I will fall if I am not careful. Making friends is one of the ways to resist risks, and we must make friends with powerful friends." The God King Polu turned and left. The old servant understood and hurried to follow. "Master, the God King Polu has accepted Yun Ji as his disciple." Mo Yukinyan brought back the news. In Xiangjia City, Luo Feng received the news. "It's a good thing," Luo Feng responded. When Luo Feng was concentrating on his cultivation, Yuanzu suddenly contacted Luo Feng. Yuanzu. Luo Feng knew Yuanzu's character, and he would not disturb his cultivation unless it was important, so he went to see him immediately. Luo Feng. Yuanzu was sitting in the pavilion. Seeing Luo Feng coming, he immediately poured wine for Luo Feng with a smile. "Come, drink." "Yuanzu, you are in a good mood?" Luo Feng also noticed it. "Ha ha ha. I finally understood the foundation of the Great Tao, so I am naturally happy." Yuanzu said. "Have you realized the law of chaos?" Luo Feng was surprised and happy. Yuanzu nodded. "Fortunately, I have a lot of resources given by you, and the many inheritances of Xinjiang men are my nourishment, so I can practice so smoothly. Otherwise, it would take 10 times or 100 times more time." Those confiscated from Xinjiang men seemed to be a lot at the time, but Luo Feng got 300 billion cosmic sands from the Lord of Huangfeng City at one time, so the resources in the past were not worth mentioning. But those resources are still too extravagant for an eternal true god to use at will. Luo Feng himself was very poor when he was an eternal true god. It only took more than 100 epochs to reach the Chaos Realm, and it was a self-created method. Luo Feng exclaimed. "Yuanzu, you have every chance of reaching the God King realm. God King is much more difficult than the Chaos Realm." Yuanzu laughed. "You have to take it step by step, I'm still a long way off now." Luo Feng was very clear. He reached the Chaos Realm in more than 30 epochs, and also had the help of the opportunity of facing the origin of life. Yuanzu reached the Chaos Realm in more than 100 epochs. Even if there were enough inheritance and resources, this speed was still shocking. Yuanzu, you can comprehend the amazing virtual universe secret method at the true God stage, and become the strongest person in the surrounding area of the original universe. You are really gifted. Luo Feng realized Yuanzu's high talent early, but after coming to the origin continent and providing enough resources, Yuanzu began to shine. Luo Feng was also very happy. If the human race only had one pillar, he would be under great pressure to act in the origin continent. With the equally gifted Yuanzu to help share the burden, Luo Feng would be much more relaxed. You should break through the small universe as soon as possible and transform your divine body. Luo Feng said, also take the opportunity to study which avenue is most suitable for you. I am very interested in the World Origin Avenue. Yuanzu said. World Origin Avenue? Luo Feng understood. The path that Yuanzu took in a strict sense was the virtual world. If the virtual world continues upward, it can go deeper into the direction of the soul. But there is no clear avenue on the soul path, and everything needs to be self-realized. The virtual world can also extend to the World Origin Avenue. For example, thunder. The Infinite Origin Avenue includes many energy applications such as thunder, fire, wind, and earth. But thunder can also walk out a complete Thunder Origin Avenue. The starting point is the same, but the end point may be completely different. During the period when I was suppressed by the original universe, I had a deep understanding of the various forms of sentient beings and the operation of all things, and I was also very interested. The world is a very suitable path for me. Yuanzu said. He likes the virtual world, and he also likes the real world. There are too many things he can study on this path. Only the path you like the most and are most interested in can go far enough. Luo Feng agreed. On that day, in the original universe area of his hometown, a huge small universe expanded again. This was the small universe of the original ancestor. The small universe of the original ancestor has expanded again. The original ancestor broke through, so fast. The true gods and lords of the universe from all races came closer and watched from afar that the huge small universe expanded again. The strong men of the human race were even more excited. The human race had the absolute strongest man in the surrounding universe, the galaxy ancestor. That small universe was 1 trillion light years in diameter. Just seeing that huge small universe made other races lose any fighting spirit. And now, the small universe of the original ancestor, which is second only to the galaxy ancestor, has also skyrocketed. Teacher is going to break through. The Lord of Chaos City looked at this scene with joy, and looked at Luo Feng beside him. Luo Feng, when can we go to reincarnation? The Lord of Chaos City could have become a true god of the void a long time ago, but he had been suppressing it and had not broken through. Now, seeing his disciple Luo Feng reach a small universe with a diameter of 1 trillion light years, and seeing his teacher Yuanzu break through one after another, the Lord of Chaos City also felt a little itchy. At the other end of the reincarnation, there are many powerful people, and it is unfathomable. Luo Feng said, "You should practice patiently in the original universe area. I estimate that you can set off before this reincarnation era. One reincarnation of the original universe is about 10,000 epochs on the origin continent." Luo Feng estimated that after such a long time, he should be able to deal with the Lord of Qiankun. Even if he can't solve it, he should be able to protect the strong people of the human race to the origin continent. Okay. The Lord of Chaos City smiled and nodded. In fact, we are in the original universe area, and the progress of cultivation is very slow now. I know. Luo Feng nodded. Although it is difficult to practice in the original universe area, the more difficult it is, the more it will hone yourself. It will be more helpful in the future. After adapting to the practice in the harsh environment, it will be much more efficient to go to the environment of the origin continent. The Lord of Chaos City nodded. Luo Feng and Yuanzu have always prevented the human strong men from breaking through the reincarnation, and asked them to wait patiently. It can be seen from this that Luo Feng and Yuanzu were not completely sure about the situation on the other side. Chu Kingdom, Chuyu Marquis Mansion. Brother Chuyu. Luo Feng transmitted from a distance. Di Chuyu looked up and saw Luo Feng in the distance, and smiled. Brother Luoha. Luo Feng then stepped into the mansion. Brother Luoha, it's rare to come to me. Di Chuyu's demeanor was much more leisurely. After all, with the huge resources of the heaven-level mission, he had already reached the peak strength of the Chaos Realm after 100 centuries. After all, he was an infinite divine body, and it was not difficult to reach such strength, but there was still some gap between the realm and the bottleneck. But with enough strength and the powerful guest, Luoha Great Sage, Di Chuyu naturally had smooth sailing. Other first-class marquises of the royal family would not be stupid enough to fight him. There is indeed something that needs Brother Chuyu's help. Luo Feng said directly. Oh. Di Chuyu's eyes lit up. Good thing. As Luoha's strength became stronger and stronger, it stands to reason that the opportunities for him, a first-class marquis of the royal family, to help him became less and less. It's like this, my fellow, Yuan has reached the Chaos Realm. Luo Feng said, I want a guest position from the Yangfeng ancient country. Guest position? Di Chuyu frowned slightly. Yuan is a newly promoted Chaos Realm, right? Is he of the law lineage? Law lineage. Luo Feng nodded. The Chaos Realm of the law lineage is the minimum threshold for recruiting guests. He barely reaches the minimum threshold, and he is not an infinite divine body. Di Chuyu shook his head slightly. Any first-class marquis of the royal family who wants to invite a guest will probably be reluctant to use the quota on him. The guest positions of the first-class marquises of the royal family are very cautious, because this is their most important help. I don't know much about the royal family, so I came to ask you. Luo Feng said. After Yuan became a chaotic realm, if he wanted to grow, he first needed the most suitable inheritance and resources for himself. At most, he could find a way to get 1 or 2 World Origin Road God King level inheritances, which might not be very suitable for Yuan. The best way is to let Yuan become a guest of the ancient country of Yangfeng. At that time, a large number of inheritances in the inheritance hall can be chosen at will. It must be admitted, the guest system of the two ancient countries is definitely a huge help for the chaotic realm. It's just that the guest positions are very scarce, and the two ancient countries obviously want to cultivate elites. I have a total of 2 positions, and I have used them all. As far as I know, there should not be many vacant guest positions in the royal family of the entire ancient country of Yangfeng. Di Chuyu said, especially for the previous heaven-level missions, the first-class marquises of the royal family spared no expense and most of the guest positions were granted. Luo Feng understood. At least in our Di Chu lineage, I haven't heard of anyone who has a quota. The other 12 royal lines may have quotas. I'll check. Di Chuyu said. The conditions are easy to negotiate. Luo Feng said, even if it's tens of billions of cosmic sands, it's a small matter. Okay, I'll check it immediately. Di Chuyu promised. Di Chuyu led his guards to leave Chudu that day and went to the Yudu of the ancient country of Yangfeng. Yudu is the ancestral land of the Diyu lineage. The Diyu lineage and the Di Chu lineage have a good relationship, and all the first-class marquises of the two royal families often have exchanges. Chuyu, why don't you just send a message directly, but come to Yudu in person? A man in a purple robe said with a smile. Yufeng. Di Chuyu sat opposite. I know you have a guest official quota. Di Yufeng looked at him and nodded with a smile. Yes, the outside world knows that I only have 1 guest official. There is indeed a vacant quota. There are many people who want this quota, and many Chaos Realm are willing to sell themselves to me. Luo He Great Sage wants this quota. Di Chuyu said. Luo He Great Sage? Di Yufeng's heart skipped a beat, then he relaxed again. If Luo He Great Sage is willing to be my guest, I will naturally offer him the quota. But he has been your guest for a long time. He wants the quota for other Chaos Realm people. Di Chuyu nodded. A new Chaos Realm person, a lineage of law. New Chaos Realm person? Di Yufeng shook his head. Don't worry about who this Chaos Realm person is. The key is that Luo He Great Sage wants this quota. You can just ask for any conditions. Di Chuyu said, you should know that Luo He Great Sage will soon become a God King. And he will be a hegemonic existence. Di Yufeng looked at him. What if he becomes a hegemon? How can he help the first-class marquis of the royal family? Even as a God King, he can't participate in the fight of the first-class marquis of the royal family. The competition of the first-class marquis of the royal family is all a competition at the Chaos Realm level. The participation of the God King is bullying the weak and is prohibited. Whatever conditions you want, just ask. Di Chuyu said. What I want is to become a God King. Di Yufeng said, I ranked 2nd in the last heaven-level mission among Diyu's lineage. You should know that a few resources cannot impress me. What I need is a guest official who is dedicated to helping me and is strong enough. If there is no suitable target, I would rather be idle. An idle quota is enough to attract a group of Chaos Realm to serve me. Di Yufeng said, without this quota, those Chaos Realm will probably leave. Di Chuyu was silent. Brother Chuyu, you should understand that the heaven-level mission has only lasted for 100 centuries, and the royal family has not produced any new first-class marquises. Di Yufeng said, those first-class marquises were reluctant to use their quotas in the heaven-level mission. How could they easily give them to Luo He Great Sage? After all, there are only 2 quotas for first-class marquises in their lifetime. Di Yufeng said, not every first-class marquis of the royal family can be lucky enough to choose Luo He Great Sage as a guest official like you. No way? Di Chuyu looked at Di Yufeng. How about this, I will sell this quota for a treasure worth 2 million merits. Don't say I sold it too expensive. Di Yufeng said, of course I also know that Great Sage Luo He is reluctant to part with so many treasures. 2 million merits are worth about 600 billion cosmic sands. When Di Chuyu heard this, he had to stand up. This offer was too outrageous. In just over 10 days, D2 met 7 first-class royal marquises, but they were all rejected. The Chaos Realm outside the two ancient countries may still be afraid of the first in the Chaos Realm and the powerful God King of the future. But for the first-class royal marquises? The guest God King can't threaten them, nor can he help them. Naturally, he is unwilling to pay attention without sufficient conditions. Hundreds of billions of cosmic sand seem to be a lot. Before the heaven-level mission, the first-class royal marquises may have accumulated only this much. But now that the resources for the heaven-level mission have been distributed, the first-class royal marquises are all rich. Without enough temptation, they can't be tempted. This video will end here.